Hey, this is my first time ever doing a video like this. I kind of felt compelled to do a video about why it's been about half a year now, and I kind of felt compelled to do a video about why I decided to leave medicine and pursue other things outside of it and take a leave of absence from a really good opportunity that I had. Um, I was in medical school for a year at a really good school with an amazing opportunity. I had no debt, and I decided that it wasn't for me. And in order to get to that point, to where I made that decision, I have to go back to how it all got started and why I decided to pursue medicine in the first place, and the seeds that were planted before I even got to medical school, and like how those impacted my approach to it, my day to day, and my thought process towards leaving. Okay, so how I got into medicine and where my journey started with it. I'm going to give you guys the real crash course version. I'm not going to get into any of the details. It's really a lot deeper than what I'm going to say, but essentially, I'll give you the important parts that like led me into like how I got on this journey, and then I'll kind of fast forward it from there and kind of make sure it ties to what together well without fleshing out everything that I did and why I got into it and stuff like that. So, the quick rundown is I was a student athlete, had a serious injury that definitely hurt my career as a football player, but I ended up recovering. But that injury led me into wanting to pursue medicine due to my interactions with the doctors I had, the impact I saw the doctor have on me, and made me want to have that same impact on others, and be that since I've had that experience as a patient, knowing that what the physical not only what the physical ailment is like, but what the mental ailment is, and how the impact that has, and that impact is sometimes overlooked. And I know that I value relationships, I value real connection, and I value that authentic interaction. And knowing medicine is one of the few fields that you will have that real human, real interaction and a real impact. And so that catalyzed my pursuit into medicine. So once I got to college or after the injury, I was able to recover, get a scholarship, and decided when I got to undergrad, I would go the pre-med route in some capacity. I wasn't sure what I was going to major in, but I would go have the pre-med stuff done in order to eventually apply to medical school. So I got into undergrad, and it was a woozy. It was really difficult. I was in a long distance relationship the whole time. I was a student athlete, so balancing the relationship, being a student athlete, and taking all these pre-med classes was really difficult. When I reflect on my pre-med journey, I was very unsure even then about medicine. I remember trying to avoid all the most difficult classes, trying to do the bare minimum in order to just to be qualified to go to medical school. I don't know if that's because I don't think I'm lazy. I know I'm not lazy, but I think it was just because I had so much going on that I wanted to take the shortest path possible in order to still qualify to go to medical school. So I remember I majored in math, took all the pre-med classes, didn't do any research, but that was excusable because I was a student athlete for most of my time and had a job, and after I had my last surgery and stuff like that. So but when I reflect on that process and I reflect on my time in undergrad, I still remember to this day not loving any of the stuff I had to do. I did not like the short time I did research. I didn't love any of the classes I was taking. Nothing ever stuck, and I had no passion for any of it. But because I was so busy and because I didn't have time for other experiences, I felt like I had to stick with it. I felt like there was nothing else I could do. I was so busy with school, so busy being a student athlete that I didn't get to experience the other things to like make the judgment that I didn't want to do medicine. So I'd already invested so much time. I'd invested so much in myself that the resume that I was building only led me to do one thing. At least that's what I thought. And I'm very risk averse. And so, to me, obviously going into medicine, I'm an athlete. Like I like to put the work in. I know that when I put the work in, I'm going to get a result. And that's one of the things with medicine too, that it's one of the few fields that obviously it's fulfilling, and I'm not trying to make it sound like it's all about the money, but it's also one of the few fields that if you put in the work, if you get into obviously a good undergrad, you get a good MCAT score, you get into medical school, you're going to get the reward at the end. Although it is a very delayed reward, you will get the reward at the end. And so I decided, even though I had all the hesitations, even though I didn't love the process, that I would still pursue it because I had the resume, I had the story, my grades were good, I ended up getting a good MCAT score. I convinced myself that I've sucked it up with a lot of things. I didn't love football after I had 5 surgeries or 4 surgeries, and I stuck with that. So I can do the same thing. It's like once I get to that, the sacrifice will be worth it. So yeah, so sorry for the cuts in and out. First time doing a recording like this, so probably the last one I ever do. But anyways, but yeah, so I thought the sacrifice would be worth it, um, and so I continued with it. I went and took the MCAT, went and scribed and pursued that stuff. And even during that whole entire process, obviously no one enjoys the MCAT. I wasn't putting a lot of weight in me not liking the MCAT process. I still had that drive and that passion to be like, okay, I really want to do well. I really want to get to school. I don't want to stress about my MCAT score. I want to do really good. I ended up doing pretty well. And then after I did well, decided I was going to scribe. And during both of those moments, both of those times of that kind of pre-med experience, like I just remember still just wishing time away. Obviously the MCAT, you're going to wish it away. No one loves to study that much. But even when I'm scribing in the emergency department, something that should be interesting, I didn't feel like it was interesting. I'd go there, I felt like I was checking a box. I'm like, okay, I'm going here, getting my hours in, building my resume. And it wasn't something that I was like present in the moment and like something I should have been, So if I'm going to do this as a career, I'm really trying to get good at this. I'm really trying to like analyze this stuff. Like I should be caring a little bit more than I do, but I just didn't. It was just a checkbox to me to like, okay, did that have these hours? I didn't have the clinical experience in college because of my experience as a student athlete. So here I'm getting it now. Bam, whatever, push to my resume. And so obviously there were things I found interesting and things I enjoyed about it. But again, it just wasn't what I felt it should be is for something that I'm going to pursue a career in. Like I didn't hate it by any means, but I didn't love it for sure. So, but I ended up fast forward to finishing my scribing. I did the whole entire application process, got into multiple schools, got into 4, got 2 scholarships. And those were like the best things that ever happened to me. And because it gave me that, like even back then before even going to medical school, I wanted that escape button. And to me, those scholarships, sorry for the 2 schools if you're watching this, but to me, those scholarships were the escape button where if I don't love medicine, I can escape. I don't have any debt. And I think a lot of people probably would make the decision that I made to take a leave or to not continue with medicine but they can't because they're in debt. And so obviously I was in a situation where I was fortunate enough to get scholarships and then have that escape if I needed it. And the fact that I was even thinking like that before I even went into medical school should have been a sign. But again, like I said before, I didn't really feel like I had anything else to do. I'm at that point 24, turning 25. That's what I had to do. I had to go and I didn't have an escape. I didn't have anything else to go to. So ended up going to medical school, and I remember like looking back, or I remember writing like on the 3rd week of medical school, like, I don't think this is for me in my journal. I don't think this is for me. I feel X, Y, and Z about it. I don't know why I'm doing this. And those feelings kind of went away for a while. Like the first 6 months of it were really hard, but I got through it and survived it. And there wasn't any specific moment during medical school where I'm like, I'm getting out of here. I hate it. It was just like this persistent feeling of feeling like I wasn't doing this is not what I want my life to look like. This is not the career that I want. And this is not what, obviously medicine's really fulfilling and impactful. And like I said previously, like the impact you have in medicine is different than any other field. But it didn't fit the values that I had. Like I had after COVID, the things that my values changed, like that time off of really getting to pause and reflect and be with the people you're closest with. Obviously we're social distancing, and it was obviously in the middle of the pandemic. We couldn't do much, but it gave me my values of like what I wanted out of my life change. I valued time more. I valued relationships more, and medicine was really taking away from both of those things. And I know that like the sacrifice, like obviously it's a sacrifice, and you're getting into it, and that that was an expectation going into medical school, but it wasn't before. Like it was different when I was going, because my values were different. I valued probably success more than anything. I valued security more than anything, and I still value those things. Like I still want to be successful. I still want security, but the top of my priority list now is time and relationships. And And so when I realized that medicine's taking away from a lot of those, and it's going to for minimum the next 7 years plus after this, I'm like, do I really, really, really want to do this? And so if we go forward and get to the end of the year, actually, let's talk about more about during the year. Our school had a lot of expectations. Like, I was feeling all these feelings. I'm not sure if I wanted to do it. And the school I went to probably exacerbated that, not in a bad way. I think the school I went to did everything. If I would have went to any other school, I probably would have left earlier. But the school that I attended was really supportive. Really, it was a smaller class. It was a great environment to be a medical student. I have no complaints about the school and how the process or anything like that, and positive notes from their end. But the only complaint, I shouldn't even say complaint, but the reality of our school was that you couldn't blend in. Everything was mandatory. You're in small groups. You got to present a lot. And so when you're feeling like you don't want to be there and you can't blend in, it's really anxiety inducing, and it was designed for you not to blend in. It was designed for you to be on all the time, and I just couldn't be on all the time, but I had to fake it. I had to force it, and so that only made my anxiety worse and my desire to not want to be there worse. And it was hard. Like, I know that you shouldn't have that year or those moments shouldn't have an impact on like the career you're going to have and stuff like that, or your career and making a decision about it. And I don't think at the end of the day it did, but it definitely didn't help it. And so I just remember that whole entire time during the year, just wishing time away. I can't wait till we get to Christmas break. I can't wait till we get to that 3-day weekend. I can't wait till we get to spring break. I can't wait till we get to summer break. I can't wait till we finish that test. I can't wait till we finish that presentation. I can't wait. And those things are weekly. You got these presentations, you got all these things. I was just constantly finding myself wishing time away and not wanting to be there and do that. And I want to be more present. I don't want to be wishing time away like that. I don't want to be looking forward to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, trying to escape these feelings I was having, trying to escape the moments that I was in. Like, I want to enjoy those moments. I want to be in those moments and not wish for the next thing. And I found myself while in medical school constantly wishing that this thing was over. And I don't want to, we only get one life. I really don't want to wish it. I don't want to spend it wishing it away. But by the end of the year, things obviously settled down a little bit, and I really believed, like, I talked to a lot of my friends about it. I actually remember telling one of my best friends there that she asked, like, are you going to come back next year? So obviously she knew that I had feelings about not coming back. And I said, honestly, that, yeah, I thought I would. At the time, I felt like I would. I was feeling a little more confident. I was feeling a little more secure. Like, the storm had kind of died down because obviously we're at the end, but in reality, that was probably just a short-term feeling, knowing that I was over the mountain that was year one. And so, but summer break hits, I come home, and I obviously anytime you come home from a break from medical school or even undergrad, whatever, people are going to ask you, how's it going? What are you doing? Are you enjoying it? Those kinds of things. And every time I got that question, I would never have a good answer. I'd always be like, oh, it's okay. Oh yeah, it's X, Y, and Z. Oh, we had to do all this. And it was never a positive answer. And that would really start to bother me, that I could never say anything positive about what I was doing. Like, I don't want to spend the next 7 years of my life telling people that, oh yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And they'd always try to spin it positive. Like, oh, it's going to be worth it when you hit this point. It's going to be worth it when you do this. And I'm like, yeah, sure. But I wasn't really sure if it would be. And so I hated that I would never, my answers were directed towards a result, that they weren't directed for the moment. It was directed towards this thing at the very end of the tunnel. And so I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want my life to be this thing that I was wishing away, this thing that I didn't enjoy, this thing that I couldn't give a positive answer to, that I was going to be the next decade of my life. And so I kind of ended up having this realization, is that I'm sacrificing so much of myself for this. I'm sacrificing myself, my happiness, my relationships, my time for this thing that I'm hoping, not guaranteed, hoping will be the thing that I'm happy about, the thing that'll be worth it. And so it caused me to ask myself, why am I doing this? And like I said, I couldn't come up with a good answer for why I'm doing this. And my reasons for not leaving were all fear-based. What are others going to think? What else am I going to have going for me? What will I do? I've already spent so much time in here. there was literally nothing that was none of my answers for not leaving were designed around the job of it being a physician. And I to me, like, those aren't good enough answers. Like, I don't want to make a decision based off fear. Like, I have to trust myself. I have to be confident enough in myself that, like, I can pivot if I need to. I can make a decision, pivot from that, and still be successful. Being this doctor, me having this badge of honor that only boosts my ego to say that I'm going to be a doctor. I'm in medical school. Like, those things, believe it or not, as shallow as that sounds, contributed to me wanting to stay, saying that I'm in medical school and I have this thing to be proud of. I've always, my entire life, I've had that thing to be proud of. Oh, I'm on scholarship. I'm playing college football. I'm going to medical school, doing all these things. And so me not going would now be taking away that thing that I attached to myself. And again, none of those were good enough reasons to say. So, like, after a lot of nights of really thinking about what I valued, what I want my life to look like, the potential other passions that I have, I got the courage to leave after talking to a lot of my friends and family and other people in other fields. But with that being said, after leaving, I don't have any regrets about going. I learned so much about myself, who I am, my strengths, my weaknesses, what I want my life to look like. I was around some of the best people. I know medicine kind of gets a bad rep for attracting some egotistical kind of people, but my experiences with it were not that at all. Like, obviously you have some people here and there, but for the most part, like, it's people that are really intelligent, very well-rounded, and are good, caring people that want the best for humanity. And so it was an awesome experience all around in terms of, like, interacting with those kind of people. But the main realization that I have from all this, and my biggest piece of advice for those that are in medicine looking to get out, or those that are currently pursuing, possibly thinking about being a doctor, is that you need to get all the experiences you can possible. You need to shadow, you need to do your research, you need to call these physicians that you're interested in interested in shadowing. You need to talk to people that are in medical school that have gone through it, seen it. You need to make sure you're doing the right thing, and not only getting the experiences within medicine, but getting the experiences outside of it as well that are related to other fields. Check every box you can with your life. Make sure you're making a decision based off of the passion for it and not because of the result it's going to give you. Because if not, you're going to end up like me, making a decision too late, making a decision to go when you shouldn't, wasting a lot of time. And so if you really, 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 really want to do medicine, it's worth it. It's going to be a grind. It's doable. It's a major sacrifice, but like anything worth doing is a major sacrifice, but those sacrifices are worth it if you have that real passion to keep on doing it and to wanting to do it. And if it's worth it to you, then it's worth it to you. For me, it wasn't. I didn't have the passion to be a doctor that I believe it requires to be. It was sacrificing too much of myself, too much of the things I valued, but to somebody else, that sacrifice will be worth it. And so you need to do everything you can possible to make sure that it's right for you and to make sure that it's what you want to do and you're doing it for the right reasons. I don't want to say I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I just think that I was lost and I didn't know myself well enough. I didn't know what I wanted, and I wasn't honest enough with myself throughout the process. And so I encourage you to be honest with yourself. I encourage you to branch out, to say yes to as many things as possible, to do what you can to make sure you're prepared for the jump that you're going to have to make. And so, because like I said, if you don't, you're going to be stuck in debt, possibly. Luckily I wasn't, but a lot of people are in debt, depressed, experiencing things that you don't want to experience. And so, like I said, do what you can, make the most of the time you have, and make sure you make decisions for you. If you have any questions, I know this is probably all over the place, there's a lot going on, said a lot. If you have any questions about my journey, feel free to reach out and message me, leave a comment. I'll leave my Instagram, my Twitter, link in the bio or something like that, so you can connect with me and ask me questions. But yeah, feel free to reach out. I'm constantly learning more about myself, why I made the decision. I know for most reasons why I made it, but obviously, as you reflect more and more, you learn more about the things you do. And so, with that being said, yeah, that's why I left medicine. And like I said previously, if you have any questions, let me know. feel free to reach out, and God bless.